A phone that's actually not designed for phone calls, plus Technics could be going the way of the dodo, and Microsoft and the BBC fight over the iPlayer. We'll talk about that with the guys from Pocketlint, Dan Sung and Duncan Gear. Despite my turkey-induced hangover, we're here with the guys from Pocketlint to talk about some of the coolest stuff from their website, pocketlint.com, which is mainly covering stuff in the UK, but they cover worldwide stuff as well. So Dan, first off, we're seeing a pretty crazy phone that actually doesn't look like a phone very much. It's called the Else. Tell us about what's going on here.
Well, it's kind of hit everyone a bit out of the blue because it's an Israeli company that seems to have never made a phone for the world market before, or even for the Israeli market before. They're based around design, and what they've decided to do is make a handset that's not necessarily designed around being a phone necessarily, but more of a internet tablet type mini computer kind of device. And it looks really sexy, actually. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's got this kind of very, it's kind of like an iPhone, but maybe a take on it is more of a Soviet sort of Russia thing going on, like a 1960 design, but it's really quite beautiful.
It's interesting stuff. So, how did you guys hear about this, and where did this kind of come from? I mean, it seems like a pretty cool. We're looking at photos here, and this is in your editor's hands. So this is actually a real device, right?
Oh yeah, very much exists. Duncan, do you want? I mean, you probably know more about this one than I do.
Well, we attended their launch event in London. And it was a really, an interesting sort of proposal that they're giving here. They're basically saying that these things that we hold around in our hands these days aren't phones anymore, really. They're more like portable computers. And so they've built the interface from the ground up around Linux to deal with that situation.
Got it. So it's, they're essentially saying, none of us are using these necessarily as phones anymore. We're texting, we're browsing the internet, we're listening to music, and so now it's the phone kind of takes a back seat to all these other things. Is that kind of right, Duncan?
I think so, yeah. And they've definitely sort of taken some influence from the iPhone in sort of how it does things. We didn't sort of get a chance to have a long play with it, but one thing that's very nice about it is that you can operate it all just with one thumb. The contacts and stuff scroll down in a bit like opening a fan.
Yeah.
So it's really pretty. We just don't know whether it's going to be fast enough, or it's going to be good enough to use in that way just yet.
Yeah. So I mean, do we have pricing details or any other sort of info on this?
Not
Nothing.
as far as I'm aware.
Nothing like that at all. I'm guessing they did a promo video and they showed streets of the US in it, so you guys should be seeing it and we should be seeing it, so we think it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
But what actually I really liked about it is the fact it's got a really high pixel density on its 3.5-inch screen. I can't remember the figures, but it put things like the HTC Hero to shame in terms of the resolution that it came up with. So I think it looks really exciting. But no prices, no dates, all the mystery.
Yeah, I guess we'll just kind of be waiting until eventually when we can find out more about this stuff. Now, switching gears for a second, we're hearing that Technics, which is not its own brand, of course, like a lot of consumer electronics these days, they're owned by Panasonic, and you might know them as the Technics turntables were sort of the DJ, the scratch turntable DJ, of choice, I guess you could say. DJs love the Technics turntables. There's songs about them. A lot of DJs still use them today. But we're hearing now that those turntables could actually be a thing of the past. And Duncan, we're hearing that it's not Technics isn't gone, but the turntables sound like they're probably gone. Is that right?
Well, it's all a bit confused at the moment. We're trying to untangle this mess of rumours that are coming out from the Antipodes, from Australia and New Zealand. There is a number of DJ shops there and a couple of DJ magazines that are saying that they've had confirmation that these turntables, which is the SL1210 and the SL1200, and which, as you say, are pretty much the industry standard turntable, they're pretty much the best of the business, are going to be discontinued. Now, we got in touch with, we heard about this rumor on Friday, and we got in touch with Panasonic, and they said, yeah, we'll get you a statement. And that finally came through this afternoon. And what they said is that they have no plans to discontinue the Technics brand. Now, that doesn't sort of include or exclude the record players at all, despite the fact that the record players, the 1200 and the 1210, do pretty much embody that brand.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I feel like that's the one thing. People still use turntables a lot. I mean, there are kind of the CDJ people who use those Pioneer CDJ turntables, and they have a DVJ as well. But a lot of people they still prefer the feel of vinyl, and they'll use something like Serato or Final Scratch, or all these sort of, you get the tactile feel of a turntable, but you can still DJ MP3s and things like that. I mean, if they go away, is it really, people are going to have other options though, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are other turntables out there that are these days pretty much just as good, but it's interesting because this particular model of turntable, these two models of turntable, have pretty much been the king of the DJing community for about 35 years now.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of the iconic brand going away, sort of a fond farewell.
Well, maybe, yeah, but at the moment we don't even know whether it is a fond farewell or not. We're trying to get further clarification off Panasonic.
Interesting. So we'll have to see where that goes for sure. Other stuff we're talking about: the BBC and Microsoft are tussling over I guess the situation is, as Microsoft likes to do with their Xbox Live service, they would prefer that people who subscribe to Xbox Live Gold, which is the one that costs a yearly fee, would have access to the BBC's iPlayer. Now, BBC, on the other hand, would prefer that as many people as possible, could actually just watch it without, anyone who pays a television license fee could actually just watch this without using the Gold account. I don't know, Dan, with the situation, it's sort of, clash of the titans, as it were. Obviously, the BBC, the biggest broadcaster in the UK, Microsoft, a gigantic software company. What's sort of at stake here? Who stands to win? Who stands to lose? I mean, kind of give us a appraisal of the situation.
It's interesting. I think the people that stand to win, what I think will ultimately happen is that you won't be able to get iPlayer on Xbox, because I can't see Microsoft backing down on this kind of thing. They've wanted to charge people. They wanted to be the guardians to the internet. Strangely, a public service for the Xbox for so long now, and that's really, people have settled into that and they're happy to pay. So I can't see them wanting to back down on this. The BBC, there would be an uproar if they made people pay twice, if you see what I mean, to get their content in the UK if we've already paid the license fee. So I suspect that we won't see iPlayer on Microsoft Xbox at all. So ultimately, I think the people that win are probably the internet service providers, who will be thanking the lucky stars they have to come up with more bandwidth.
That's definitely true. And with the iPlayer, Duncan, are there other devices that can play the iPlayer as well? Or I feel like the Wii can, but that's just based on my conjecture. I don't really know. Yeah,
the Wii can, or it very well soon will be able to. There's a website that you can visit in the Wii browser that it will work well on. But they're also bringing out a dedicated Wii channel for it in the near future. And it also works on the PS3. And so I sort of disagree with Dan on this one. I think that Microsoft are pretty much going to have to cave, because, as he said, the pressure for them to offer the iPlayer is absolutely enormous. And if BBC won't put it behind a paywall, then Microsoft is just going to have to open it up to people accessing it for free.
It's interesting. I feel like since people have other options, it's not really... it's not a huge detriment if Microsoft doesn't offer it, but then, those PS3 fanboys can always tip their hat that they have the iPlayer and an Xbox 360 doesn't. Dan, is there any hardware players? Like we have the Roku, where it's $99 and you can get Netflix on demand. Is there any hardware players like that can handle the iPlayer? Maybe if people don't want a game console and they want to spend a little bit less?
Not that I know of, actually. I know there are things like
it's coming to FreeSat.
So on FreeSat, is it coming onto?
It's going to be coming on FreeSat, yeah.
Okay. Right, so you'll be able to buy a FreeSat decoder, which will have, so you'll be able to get that through that, which will be under £100. So yes, Thank you, Duncan. There we go.
So FreeSat? I just am unfamiliar. It's just like a satellite service, or Duncan? What's kind of the deal with that?
Dan, go for it.
It's free satellite service, as the name would suggest. Which is kind of interesting, because obviously our satellite service provider here is Sky. So a lot of people will have a Sky dish and a Sky setup, but if you want, you can buy a FreeSat decoder which has no subscription whatsoever. So you get free high-definition channels, plus a whole bunch of other strange channels as well, some of which are quite good, for nothing at all. So it's just an installation cost.
Interesting stuff. So I guess there are tons of options for people looking to do that. I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see how this goes. Of course, we would love to have iPlayer in the US, but I don't want to pony up some money for each TV. So
we'd love to have Hulu.
Yeah, go for
it. Yeah, we would.
We'll have a Hulu iPlayer showdown and see which one comes out on top.
Or an exchange program or something.
Exactly. An ambassador, if you will. No. All right, we're going to leave it there, guys. Dan Sung from Pocket Lint. Thanks for coming on the program. I really appreciate it. also Duncan Gear, who's also at Poculent. Go figure. I'm Randall Bennett, and I'll catch you on the show next time. We do the show every week, so be sure to check it out at Poculent.com as well as TechV.com. And if you want to check out some more videos and other stuff, we have show notes and all that junk over at TechV.com. And, check us out. See you later.